back! This is so dangerous! Run back!
Prayer. They say love can cross mountains, but can it cross species? In the heart of an old African village where rivers whispered secrets and the moonlit forests held more truths than the elders dared to speak, something impossible happened. A lonely widow took home what she thought was a harmless creature hiding in a bundle of firewood. She didn't know she was walking home with destiny, wrapped in scales. Years later, that creature returned to her not as a snake, but as a young man with eyes brighter than firelight and a voice that carried ancient power. And when he asked for a bride, the kingdom trembled. But this story, it isn't just about a marriage, it is about a secret so dangerous that revealing it could erase a man from the world forever. Are you ready for a tale where love becomes a curse, loyalty becomes a test, and a single mistake makes a queen scream into the night? Hey family, before we go deeper into this wild folktale, do me a small favor. If you love mysterious African stories, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who enjoys magical tales. It really helps the channel grow. Alright, let's continue. In the deep heart of an old African land where the hills rose like ancient guardians and the wind carried forgotten prayers, there lived a lonely widow named Mama Kenna. Her home was a small mud hut at the edge of a thick forest. People said the forest was magical. Some whispered that spirits lived there. Your sources. Others said snakes there could hear human voices. But Mama Kenna never feared it. When you have lost everything, fear becomes a luxury you cannot afford. Every morning, she walked into the forest to collect firewood. One chilly dawn, as golden light pushed through the trees, she bent to pick up a long pile of dry sticks. As she lifted them, something cold moved inside. She did not notice it. She simply tied the bundle and walked home, not knowing she had carried a strange destiny on her back. When she reached her hut, she dropped the firewood on the floor. That is when it happened. A small black snake slithered out, not just any snake, its scales shone with a strange silver glow, like morning dew reflecting moonlight. Mama Kenna froze. Her heart pounded, but she didn't scream. She didn't rush for a stick. She simply stared at the little creature, and something warm stirred in her chest. This one is also alone, she whispered. Her husband had died young. She had no children, no wealth, no comfort, only an old monkey she kept as a playful companion. When the monkey saw the snake, it didn't attack. Instead, it sniffed the snake, tilted its head, then quietly sat beside it. That surprised her. Animals knew things humans didn't. Maybe this snake wasn't ordinary. Mama Kenna slowly poured a bowl of cow's milk and pushed it toward the snake. If you have come to die, let me give you comfort. If you have come to live, then live with me. The snake drank. From that day on, she raised the snake like her own child. She called him Kanaji, the one who arrived from nowhere. She fed him warm milk, protected him from hunters, and even scolded him like a mother scolds a stubborn son. Years passed. The snake grew bigger, longer, stronger, but he never harmed her. In fact, he followed her everywhere like a loyal child. One evening, the air was strangely still. Even the forest seemed to hold its breath. Mama Kenna stepped outside and found the snake coiled beneath the moonlight. As she approached, the snake lifted its head and its body glowed faintly. Then, before her eyes, scales melted into skin, bones shifted, and a tall young man stood where the snake once rested. His eyes still carried the same silver glow, but his face was handsome, calm, and noble, like someone born of both earth and sky. Mama Kenna stumbled back. Kanaji, my child, is that you? The young man knelt before her. Yes, Mama, I am not a normal snake. I am a serpent spirit, an ancient one. You raise me with love. So my first truth is yours. Tears filled her eyes. Her husband died. No one had called her Mama. She reached out and touched his face gently. You could have killed me all these years, but you never tried to kill me, he replied with a soft smile. Sin. From that night, Mama Kenna treated him like a real son, half human, half serpent, fully hers. But destiny had sharper teeth. One morning, Kenna G sat beside her as she prepared breakfast. His expression was troubled. His eyes held storms she could not read. Mama, he said slowly, there is something I must do. Something only you can help me with. She put down her wooden spoon. What is it, my child? I want to marry. Mama Kenna almost laughed, thinking he was joking. Marry? Who will marry a serpent spirit? Kennedy's voice deepened. I want to marry the king's daughter. Mama Kenna froze. Child, kings do not listen to women like me. And if I tell him his daughter will marry a snake, you won't say snake. He said firmly. Skew. We'll only ask if he will give his daughter to my son. Mama Kenna shook her head. Even then, they will beat me. Kings are proud. Kennedy took her hand gently. Mama, you raised me. You risked your life for me. This is the only thing I ask you to risk once more. Her heart softened. She had survived worse. She would try for him.
The next day, Mama Kenna walked to the palace. Guards pushed her back. One shouted, "Old woman, go home." Another mocked her torn clothes. But she did not leave. She begged, pleaded, and after hours, they finally allowed her inside. Standing before the king, she bowed low. I came to ask for your daughter's hand, for my son. The king laughed. A poor widow's son wants my daughter? Get this woman out. Guards dragged her, kicked her, and threw her outside like trash. Her arm snapped. She cried in pain all the way home. But Kennedy was waiting. He lifted her gently, placed his glowing hand over her broken arm, and whispered, "Heal." Light spread, bones joined, and pain vanished instantly. "Mama," he said calmly, "you must go again." She refused at first, but after he begged with eyes full of hope, she returned. Again she was beaten. Again she crawled home. Again he healed her. On the third day, trembling but determined, Mama Kenna went again. The king stared at her long. Then he smiled, a dangerous smile. "If your son is worthy," he said, "let him prove it. In 2 days, a grand palace must appear where your hut stands. Not a small palace, a shining palace greater than mine. And in front of it, 1,000 elephants and 400 horses must wait to welcome us." Mama Kenna's lips parted in shock. But Kennedy only smiled. That is all he wants. That night, he stepped outside holding a glowing jewel, the Nagamani, heart of serpent spirits. With a whisper, the wind shifted. Light spread across the land. By dawn, Mama Kenna's humble hut was gone. In its place stood a golden palace so bright the sun seemed to bow before it. Herds of elephants and horses lined the courtyard like royal soldiers. When the king saw it, he trembled. His pride shattered. He had no choice. The princess would marry the serpent's son. A wedding was arranged. A beautiful princess veiled her fears and walked toward her strange groom. She never saw his true form, only the handsome young man he chose to show her. But on their wedding night, she discovered the secret she was never meant to see, and that secret would soon shatter their world. Drums echoed across the land, carrying a rhythm both exciting and frightening. People had never seen such a wedding. Some arrived out of curiosity, others out of fear, and a few whispered prayers, hoping the princess wasn't being married into darkness. The palace Kennedy built glowed like morning gold. Every brick shimmered like it had been touched by starlight. Elephants dressed in royal garments stood proudly, their tusks decorated with silver bells. Horses stamped their hooves as if they sensed something unearthly in the air. The king's procession moved slowly toward the new palace. The princess, Nurai, delicate as a garden flower but with eyes shaped by destiny, sat silently in her decorated chariot. The cold wind brushed her arms. She told herself to stay calm, but her heart beat so loudly she feared others could hear it. Behind her veil, she whispered, "Let this marriage not destroy my father's home." She didn't know whether she was speaking to herself or to the spirits of the ancestors. When they arrived, Kennedy stood waiting at the entrance. He wore a robe woven from fabric that seemed to glow from within. His smile was gentle, his posture respectful, and his voice, when he spoke, carried a warmth that surprised everyone. "Welcome, my king. Welcome, my queen. Welcome, Princess Nurai." For a moment, the princess forgot her fear. His presence was strangely comforting, human, humble, and soft. She held her breath as he extended a hand. Her fingers touched his. His skin was warm, real, alive. Perhaps he wasn't a monster after all. They married under a tree whose roots were older than the kingdom itself. Elders chanted blessings. Drummers played soft rhythms. The crowd watched with wide eyes, wondering how two worlds, human and spirit, were being tied together so easily. But the truth was, nothing about this marriage was easy. That night, Nurai was led to her new chamber. The room was lit with golden lamps shaped like lotus petals. Perfumed smoke curled upward, filling the air with a calm scent. She sat on the edge of the bed, her heart beating hard against her ribs. She didn't know what to expect. Footsteps approached. Soft, slow, familiar. Kennedy stepped inside and closed the door gently, so gently that it surprised her. She expected sharpness, or arrogance, or the cold nature of a spirit. Instead, he spoke like a man who understood fear. "You must be tired," he said softly. Nurai nodded. She tried to smile. He walked closer, closer. And then, her breath caught. His shadow flickered. It flickered in a way no human shadow should. When he stepped into the lamplight, half his body shimmered, smooth scales replacing skin for a heartbeat before melting back into flesh. Nurai gasped. She stood. She stumbled back until her spine hit the wall. Kennedy's eyes widened. "No, princess, listen." But fear spoke faster than reason. She screamed. For a moment, the room exploded with brightness, light so fierce it filled every corner. When it faded, she saw the truth fully. The man she married was only half man. His other half belonged to the serpent world. His upper body returned to human form, strong shoulders, clear skin, gentle eyes. But from the waist down, a serpent's tail glistened, covered in silver scales that reflected the lamplight like mirrors. He bowed his head, not in shame, but in acceptance. "You have seen what I never wished you to see." Her voice trembled. What are you?" "A cursed being," he whispered, "born of spirit and serpent. I walk in both worlds. But the curse is heavy and cruel." The princess pressed a hand to her chest. "Why didn't you tell me before?" "Because my life depends on secrecy." His voice broke softly. "If anyone knows I change form at night, I will be taken from this world." Her breath slowed. She swallowed hard. "What do you mean, taken?" "There is a punishment for beings like me," he said quietly. "Those who cross boundaries. Those who love humans. Those who seek a human life. Spirits drag us to a hidden realm, a place no human heart can enter. Once taken, we never return." Nurai felt her fear shift into something else. Something softer. Something painful. "So I must keep your secret," she whispered. He nodded. "I trust you with my life." She exhaled shakily. And in that moment, something changed inside her. This creature, this man, this being cursed by fate. He didn't look like a monster anymore. He looked like someone who had suffered alone for far too long. He gently reached for her hand. "Call me Devi," he said. "That is my true name." "Devi," she repeated softly. Her voice shook, but not from fear this time. From the weight of responsibility. From the weight of a secret that could end a life. He shifted into full human form again and sat beside her. His presence felt warm, strangely soothing. The princess let out a slow breath and leaned back against the pillows. Devi spoke again, his voice low. Princess, promise me something. She looked up. What? Never speak of what you saw tonight. Not to your mother. Not to your father. Not to your friends. Not even in a whisper. Not even in a dream. His eyes sparkled with fear. For the first time, she saw that he was not dangerous. He was vulnerable. I promise, she said quietly. And for that moment, everything softened. The room. The fear. Her heart. But fate does not allow peace for long. 2 days later, a royal messenger arrived at their palace. The king had invited his daughter and her new husband home for a grand feast. Nurai prepared herself with uneasy excitement. She wanted to see her mother. She wanted to show her parents that she was safe. But Devi held her shoulders and reminded her again. At the feast, do not reveal my secret. She nodded. They traveled to the king's palace. The feast was bright, loud, crowded. Dancers twirled, meat roasted over fires, drums pounded like rolling thunder. Everyone stared at Devi, his beauty, his grace, his presence that glowed like polished amber. People whispered, "Who is this handsome stranger? Is this truly the Serpent's son? He walks like a prince." Nurai saw her mother staring too long, admiring too deeply. Then her mother leaned close and whispered a knife-shaped comment. "If only your husband were as handsome as this young man." Nurai's heart broke, not with pain, but with anger. She stood sharply. Her voice rose without thinking. "Mother, that man is my husband." The words were sharp, unplanned, dangerous. And as soon as they left her lips, the air grew cold. The lamps flickered. A sharp wind swept through the hall. Nurai turned. Devi was gone. Not walked away. Not hidden. Gone, like he had been pulled out of existence. The princess fell to her knees, choking on regret. What have I done? What have I done? Her mother grabbed her arms. Child, what is happening? Nurai's tears fell like rain. I broke my promise, and now he is lost. And just like that, the Serpent King's daughter realized she hadn't just broken a rule. She had broken destiny. Now she would have to cross forests, mountains, seas, spirits, and death itself to bring her husband back. Her journey was only beginning. The palace walls still echoed with music, but the joy had vanished. What remained was only silence, heavy, ghost-like, pressing onto Nurai's chest as she knelt on the cold floor. The torches flickered wildly, as if shaken by the same fear that held her heart. Her husband, the man she barely understood but had already begun to love, was gone. Not walked away. Not stolen by human hands. Taken by the curse he had warned her about. Nurai tried to stand, but her knees trembled. Her mother held her shoulders, confused and terrified. Child, talk to me. What happened? Where is he? Nurai shook her head helplessly. I broke the promise. I spoke his truth. Spirits must have taken him. The queen's face tightened with fear. The king, overhearing, approached with wide eyes. What truth? What spirits? But Nurai could not speak more. The words refused to come. Her throat felt locked by guilt. Her husband had trusted her with his life, and she had shattered that trust with a single angry breath. Her mother tried to comfort her, but nothing could ease the sting. Nurai whispered, almost to herself, I must find him. I must. The king held her arm. You can't walk into the forest alone. What if the spirit world has claimed him? What if he is lost forever? She looked up slowly, and for the first time, her voice carried steel. Then I will walk until I find the place where he is lost. And she stood. That night, while the palace slept under a sorrowful moon, Nurai packed a small bag, just dried fruit, a little water, and a cloth her husband had once touched. She held it against her heart. Guide me to you, she whispered. She wrapped a shawl around her shoulders and stepped outside. The wind was cold, biting at her skin, but she did not turn back. She walked past the gardens, through the silent village, into the shadows of the forest. Every tree looked taller at night. Every leaf shimmered with the pale glow of mist. The forest breathed like a living thing, deep, slow, ancient. But Nurai kept walking. Hours passed. She stumbled over roots, cut her feet on stones, tore her dress on thorns. Yet her heart burned with one thought: find Devi. Bring him home. At dawn, exhaustion swallowed her. She leaned against a fallen tree and closed her eyes just for a moment. Crack. A twig snapped. Nurai's eyes flew open. Standing before her was an old man with a long grey beard, a staff made of twisted wood, and eyes that sparkled like the stars reflecting in water. He looked not entirely human. His voice was warm but heavy with age. Child, why do you wander these forests alone? Humans rarely survive a night here. Nurai wiped her tears. I am looking for my husband. The old man studied her quietly. A man taken by the spirits? Her breath trembled. Yes. He nodded slowly, like someone who already knew the story. Go north, he said. You will find the Sky Lord. Only he can show you the right path. Before she could thank him, he stepped back. And just like a candle's flame dying in wind, he vanished. No footsteps. No dust. No sound. Just gone. A chill ran down her spine, but she tightened her shawl and followed his direction. The northern path was cruel. Rocks cut her feet, heat scorched her skin, and cold winds struck her like slaps. Days passed. Nights blurred. Her stomach twisted in hunger, but her determination grew stronger with every painful step. Sometimes she cried, whispering her husband's name into the emptiness. Other times she walked silently, teeth clenched, heart unwavering. Finally, after days, she saw a strange glow between the trees. A brilliant white light, softer than moonlight but brighter than any sunbeam. She stepped closer. There sat Inde, Sky Lord of the upper realms, a spirit with skin like polished stone and eyes that held centuries of storms. He looked up from a pool of shimmering light and spoke without surprise. You seek the Serpent man. Nurai fell to her knees. Yes, yes, please. Can you tell me where he is? I beg you. Inde's voice rolled like distant thunder. He is not dead, but he is bound by the curse of truth. Your words carried a weight you did not understand. She lowered her head. I know I failed him. Please help me undo what I broke. Inde gazed into the glowing pool. Your husband has been taken across the great waters, to the far end of the world, to a forest ruled by a witch who feeds on souls. Nurai's blood turned cold. A witch. She binds lost spirits, traps their voices, steals their power. Your husband is kept in a cage made of bone and darkness. Nurai shivered, but her voice did not break. Tell me how to reach him. Inde pointed toward the east. Walk until the land becomes sand. Continue until the sand becomes wind. And when you stand before the endless water, call to the Lord of the Sea. He will decide whether you are worthy. Nurai nodded. The Sky Lord's final words curled around her like wind. Love is your strength. But love is also a storm. Only those who survive the storm find what they seek. She walked again. And walked. And walked. Days became nights. Nights became days. Her feet split. Her voice dried. Her legs shook with every step. But love carried her. She reached the coast after 3 merciless days, her body weak, her hair tangled, her lips cracked, but her spirit unbroken. The sea roared in front of her like a living giant. Waves rose and fell with a fury that shook the earth. Lightning flickered above distant clouds. Nurai stepped into the water, let the cold waves touch her knees, and shouted with every piece of her soul. Varun Dev. Lord of the waters, hear me. The ocean heaved violently. Wind whipped her hair. The sky darkened. Then, bursting from the water like a mountain rising from the deep, appeared a giant being with eyes like molten sapphire and a beard made of swirling sea foam. His voice boomed. Who calls me? Nurai did not tremble. I am Princess Nurai. I seek my husband who is stolen. Please, help me. The sea god tilted his head thoughtfully. You walk with wounds on your feet, fire in your heart, and sorrow on your back. Few humans survive such a journey. Nurai swallowed hard. I will endure anything. Just show me where he is. The sea god's expression softened. Your husband lives. But he is trapped by a witch far across the sea. If I take you there, you will face dangers no human woman has survived. Nurai lifted her chin. I do not fear danger. I fear losing him forever. For a moment, the god said nothing. Then he extended a massive hand. Then climb. I will carry you across. The waves calmed. The sky cleared. And Nurai climbed onto the back of a giant sea creature, half fish, half spirit, as it surged across the ocean with breathtaking speed. Her journey toward darkness had officially begun. The sea creature glided across the waters so fast that the waves split into silver lines behind it. Nurai clung to its scaled back, her hair whipping in the salty wind. The journey felt endless, but she held tightly to one belief. If her husband was somewhere on this earth, she would reach him. Hours passed. Darkness fell. The moon rose like a watchful eye above the roaring sea. And at last, the creature slowed. A stretch of land appeared ahead, thick with trees so dark they looked burned, branches twisted like claws. The forest hissed with a sound that didn't belong to animals. A place where even the air felt haunted. This is where I leave you, the sea creature rumbled. Your husband is beyond those trees. Nurai slid down, her legs trembling. She touched the creature's head in gratitude. Thank you. It dove into the water and vanished beneath a swirl of blue light. A cold wind swept across the beach. Nurai wrapped her arms around herself and stepped toward the forest. Every instinct screamed for her to run away, but love pushed her forward. Branches cracked under her feet. Shadows slithered between the trees. Somewhere deep within, she heard the faint cry of something. Not animal, not human, but trapped. Her heart clenched. That must be him, she whispered. She walked deeper. Thorns snagged her dress. Strange glowing insects buzzed around her head like tiny spirits. The path twisted unnaturally, as if the forest tried to confuse her. Then, out of nowhere, a laugh. High, sharp, cruel. The hairs on her arms stood straight. Welcome, little princess, a voice hissed. I've been waiting. Nurai spun around. There she was. The witch. Tall, thin, with skin like cracked bark and hair that moved like burning smoke. Her eyes glowed yellow, eyes that held no mercy, only hunger. Her fingers were long, ending in claws sharp enough to cut air. Before Nurai could run, the witch waved her hand. Invisible force wrapped around her body like chains. She screamed. But the witch yanked her off the ground effortlessly. You came to look for your serpent lover, the witch crooned. How romantic. And how foolish. Nurai struggled against the unseen grip, tears burning her eyes. Let me go. Where is he? The witch smiled. A wicked, crooked smile. Oh, he's safe. Very safe. In a cage meant for creatures like him. The witch dragged Nurai through a doorway of trees that bent aside like slaves obeying their master. They entered a clearing filled with bones, human bones, animal bones, bones of creatures Nurai could not name. In the center stood a cage made from the ribs of a giant beast. Inside it, curled in a corner, was Devi. His serpent form shivered weakly, scales dimmed, eyes half closed. A thick chain wound around his body, glowing with dark magic. Nurai's breath cracked. Devi. Devi. His head lifted slowly. When he saw her, pain flashed across his face. Nurai, why did you come? You shouldn't be here. The witch cackled. Oh hush, handsome serpent. She came because she broke the curse. Because she couldn't keep her tongue quiet. Nurai glared at the witch. Release him. The witch laughed again, louder. Release him. After I waited centuries for a spirit with such power? Oh no, little girl. I will feed on him first. Then on you. She raised her clawed hand. Nurai felt something inside her snap. Not fear, not weakness, but a fierce determination as bright as fire. She had survived forests, mountains, seas. She hadn't come this far to lose. She looked at Devi, and in that look, something passed between them. A spark. A plan. The witch stepped forward. Tonight I eat well. Nurai whispered. Now, Devi. In an instant. Devi shifted. Not fully. Not human. Not serpent. But something in between. Something glowing with raw anger and ancient power. His eyes lit up like burning metal. The chain glowed brighter. Then cracked. The witch screamed. What are you doing? That chain is unbreakable. But Devi didn't stop. He coiled, twisted, and snapped the rest of the chain free. The witch hurled dark fire at Nurai. Devi lunged between them, taking the blast on his back. The fire sizzled against his scales, but he struck back, slamming his tail into the ground. The earth shook violently. The cage shattered. Bones flew like broken arrows. Nurai scrambled to her feet. Devi, behind you. The witch leapt, claws aimed for his throat. Devi twisted aside just in time, grabbed the witch by her bony wrist, and flung her across the clearing. She crashed against a tree, shrieking in rage. You dare defy me, she hissed. You dare break my prison? Devi wrapped himself protectively around Nurai. She is my wife. I will protect her with my life. The witch charged again. But this time, Nurai acted first. She grabbed a burning stick from a nearby pile, maybe from an old ritual fire, and hurled it at the witch. Flames burst across the witch's robe. She shrieked, flailing wildly as the fire grew. Devi used this moment. He lunged forward, wrapped his powerful serpent coil around the witch, and squeezed. Hard. There was a terrible crack. The witch's scream echoed through the forest. Then stopped. Devi released her. The witch fell lifeless to the ground, turning into ash that the wind carried away as if she had never existed. The forest grew silent. Nurai fell forward, tears streaming. Devi, I thought I lost you. He shifted slowly, his serpent body melting into human form. He knelt, cupped her face, and whispered, You found me. Against all odds. You found me. She buried her face in his chest. Forgive me. I should never have spoken your truth. He lifted her chin gently. You spoke out of anger, not betrayal. What matters is you came for me. No curse is stronger than a heart like yours. Their foreheads touched. And for the first time since their wedding, they both felt whole. The journey home was not short. But it was easier because they walked together. The sea god ferried them across with pride. The Sky Lord blessed them with safe winds. And when they returned to the kingdom, their arrival brought tears and joy. The king embraced his daughter, humbled by her strength. The queen held Devi's hands and whispered, Forgive us. Devi smiled. There is nothing to forgive. From that day forward, Devi lived freely. No more hiding, no more fear. His human form remained with Nurai, and his serpent form became a symbol of protection, not shame. And the people learned a lesson whispered from village to village. Love can cross worlds. Trust can break curses. And a brave heart can bring back even the stolen.